You just saw me adding my favorite stitch to the cover of our flip-flop journal. Hi everyone, I'm Lucy and this is Memory Keeper Journals. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you to all of my subscribers and welcome to all of the new subscribers. I'm so glad that you're here. This is actually my first time creating a flip-flop journal in a series for my channel. It is a learning experience for me since I'm more used to creating leather journals and hardcover journals, and I wanted just to try and see how this would work out for me, since I had a little bit of a difficulty on the first one that I created. So now you just saw that I just stitched the cover, and I'm going to clean it up and we are going to begin adding all of the signatures into the journal. I wanted to remind everyone, a lot of the items that I am going to be using, like digitals or anything that I am using, I will have it linked below in the description box. Most of the digitals that I will be using are from Ruby and Pearl. And I don't have all of the names, but I will have her Etsy shop linked below so that you guys can go in and look. All of her digitals are gorgeous. I even have a cart full of other digitals that I will be using for other journals that I'm working on at the moment. This cover is going to have 4 signatures. I decided that yesterday, and I was just showing you here the stitching. For some reason, it looks really good in the front side of it, but in the back side, it looks a little bit weird. So I will probably be distressing it a little bit just to make it look a little bit better. Maybe go over it with a bone folder as well. I had already chosen a few of the pages and created 4 signatures. It's only a few pages inside, but I will show you all of them and which ones I've used. And I'm going to be adding a little bit more of the digitals and some vintage papers that I have, and of course some coffee dye paper that I made just recently as well. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how I am going to sew these certain signatures into the cover. And first I started using, what is it called? Wax thread. And these are the threads that I use to create for my leather journals. So I am going to be using a book that helps me just add all of the holes into the cover and the signatures. You're gonna need binder clips. I like those because those are pretty strong and they hold a lot more paper than just a paper clip. Usually I take about 3 sizes of the journal itself, of the thread, so that I have plenty of room for me to move it around and make sure that it actually takes the whole journal, the whole signature. What you see me doing here is trying to make sure that all of the pages are evenly set up. Some will be shorter than others, and so I like to have most of them in the middle, unless I have like a bag or a small piece of paper or something like that that I would like to have on top or on the bottom. Sometimes one side of the signature will be a little thicker than the other because of pockets. If you create pockets on the pages, it's going to do that. When you're adding your signatures together, I don't know if I mentioned it in the last video, depending on the size of the page, it can become a little bit longer than others. I don't really mind if it's not so much that the pages are larger than the others and it's sticking out of the journal. If it's not sticking out too much, I leave it, because usually I like to add a lot of ruffles that kind of stick out of the journal, and that's the look that I go for all the time. I think it's just my favorite, so you will always see that in my journals, unless of course I'm doing a journal for someone who is, that I'm doing it for what is it, like a custom journal. Then I do exactly what the person would like me to do. So here now I'm using my ruler, because I push all of the signatures, all of the pages down together, so there's nothing moving until I can add my paper clip and hold the signature together. So that way I can begin creating the holes in it. I also added the signatures inside of the cover because I want to make sure that the holes are evenly uh, uh, in both sides, whether it is the signature and the cover at the same time. Then what I do is I do the holes first, and then I go ahead and start stitching. I like to keep the signature close together. I don't open the whole book all the way, because if you do that, what happens is the hole will move, and then you have it won't go in swiftly when you're adding your string. So I try to maintain it as close as possible, holding it with my fingers, and then I'm able to do the holes. And I do it not measuring it. I just more or less look into having right in the middle, so it's a 3-hole punch stitch, and then on the edges I do like about an inch, so I more or less gauge it with my eyes to see, and then I leave it exactly how I entered that the hole, and you can see the hole. I go right away and I go right in there so that I don't miss any of the pages, because sometimes if you move it, then you're struggling trying to go through each and every page, and I've been through that a lot. You also have to leave a little bit of the string out, and I like to do that because that way it doesn't move. But you see the hole right there? Very easy. I can put the needle in and go right out. See? And that's the best way to do it, so you're not struggling with the pages. In the middle though, you have to be careful, because if you puncture the string that you're using, or the thread that you're using, it will not let you close the string well, or the stitch. Oh my goodness, I'm lost for words. Anyway, you just want to make sure that it's tightened properly. This is another trick that I like to do as well. I like to put both of them together, because for me they have to be even. The string has to be even, because if I choose to add beads in the end, I would like the strings to be even coming out of the journal. So that's basically what I do. I make sure that it's tight. I check it on the other side to make sure that it's not loose. So you have to make sure that it's completely flushed, and that you have not punctured that stitch twice, and then you make the knots. And then I leave the strings just down in that signature, in case I want to use it to add beads and charms and things like that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But so far the first signature is already sewn in to the cover. And look, now I check all of the pages to make sure that everything is good, exactly the way I want it. You can see different sizes of the pages. I didn't add anything smaller. I just added only a few. Some of them have about 7 pages. Some of them have maybe more. Some will have less. But it's because sometimes you add a lot of bulk into it by adding all of the ephemera, so tags, pockets, and if you want to add a few things in one pocket, then it gets a little bit thick, and I want to make sure that I have it even on both sides of this journal. So now we're gonna add the second signature. So again, I do the same thing. So here I count 3 sizes of the cover and cut that amount. And I'm using a needle for stitching for bookbinding. It's not very sharp in the end. It's like a little ball point, so it's safe to use, especially when we're crafting. It's kind of hazardous. I have gotten hurt just adding some signatures into journals. It can get pretty intense, especially if you have your signatures decorated prior to. Oh, and that's another thing. Most of my journals that I make that are hardcover, I usually decorate all of my signatures prior to sewing them into my journals. So it sometimes becomes very difficult, hence the reason why I use the binder clips, because they can hold a lot. I have bigger ones as well, so it helps when you are going to bind these pages into the cover. So here I am adjusting all of the pages again, just so that they can be in the middle. As you can see, that line page will be adjusted as well. And this is how I usually work with all of my journals. It's practically my routine. This one has a bag, and I believe this one I actually leave it in the middle as well. Sometimes I have it on the bottom, but I don't really care to even it out as much when it's a bag or a little piece of paper. I just let it be wherever it falls. I also wanted to mention that the first journal that I ever made, I made it by watching Johanna Clough. She was the first one that I saw when I first learned about junk journals. I did take one of her classes that was about adding a charms tassel on the outside of the journal, and I love it. I love it so much. I will never teach it because, of course, I learned it from her, but you can actually find that in her channel. I also learned how to bind books by watching Martyna at Teal and Tattered, and I am so grateful to her. She is so detailed and such a great teacher, so patient to show you every little detail. I learned so much from her. If you haven't seen her channel, I suggest you go and visit her channel as well. I will add her in my description box just so that you guys have a link. I will also add Johanna Clough as well. So here, guys, this ruler thing actually works really well. It keeps all of your papers down together so they don't move and come out of place, because that is very critical. If you don't have it together, tight together, all of the sheets, what happens is it moves, and then you're gonna be struggling trying to enter that needle in between those pages, and you're gonna be going page to page to page just to be able to sew it together. And again, I make a hole in the middle, and that's where I begin. I go in from the inside out first. And then I leave a little string out. And then I do a hole again, 1 inch from the top and 1 inch from the bottom. And this, again, like I said, just eyeballing it. I don't really measure it with a ruler or anything like that. The only reason why I use the ruler is just to hold all my papers together. And I know you've been hearing a lot of the beeping on the recording. I'm sorry about that. I use my phone and I have no idea how to take off those notifications for other things that I have, just so that it doesn't make that noise when I'm recording. But you will hear it once in a while until I can get myself um, learn how to use my iPad, because I have no idea. I've been a Samsung person, an Android person all my life, and my husband just got me an iPad, and it's like a total whole new world with that. So if you're familiar with iPad and things like that, you know what I mean, because I have no idea how to use it. So I'm learning as I go. I'm a little bit off of the screen as well. I was just trying to make sure that you guys can see every little detail on how I do this, so that you can try it yourself, and just give you my experience on how I've been binding and what I've learned from it as I go through it. I remember having a really difficult time in the beginning. Um, do you see how I'm putting one on one side and one on the other? It's the best way to keep the whole string together and evenly. And this way you will know if you actually punctured it in the middle or not. If you're able to move this string like this, it will it's because you actually went through in the middle without puncturing your own string, your own stitch. Um, oh my goodness, my cord. But do you see that? That means something is wrong. Is either I went through it or it is stuck somewhere. And that's why I put them together. I even them out and then I start messing with it until it's completely done. And you have to do that carefully because you can rip the pages. So you have to look front and back, make sure what is going on, what is obstructing for the wax thread to go through. And if it's not, and it actually works when you're tightening it together, that means it hasn't punctured. You just have to even it out, and you tighten it, and then you can make the knot. So I've learned from a lot of people. I've also watched Barbara from 49 Dragonflies do the stitching, and she's done pretty good different types of stitches, which I most likely will eventually try it as well. I just like to work on it as much as possible. That's why I have never taught it to anyone before in my channel, because I want to have a good experience on it. I wanted to create as many books as possible with it, which I did in the beginning. The first couple of years I did custom orders most of the time. So I worked really hard on creating those journals all the time. And so I've sold many custom orders on the side, not being on my Etsy shop or my channel or anything like that. Only because those were custom orders. The ones that I have done in my channel that I've shown flip throughs and all, those I have already been working on for a while as well. And they're very well made. I will not sell anything that it's not well made. Here's a bag. Now I'm looking at everything to make sure I like the way that it was positioned, because I can take off the string. This is the moment that you can change it if you want to. There is no limit. You can change the string if you don't want that string. If you don't want that page, you want to take it out then, or if you want to add something else, just take the string out and put it again later. No big deal. And you notice I have a lot of the pages that I use that are digitals that I did not print on the back side, so it's white. That is okay as well. I have an issue with sharing our internet in our home. And I have gamers here, so that's a little difficult. So when we shared internet, if I want to print something, it's just I have to make sure that I do it at a specific time to do that, because once they're on it, forget it. There is no way I'm going to be able to print anything. So we're still trying to figure out what we can do so that I can have my own or a little bit stronger or faster on my end, because eventually I will be working from home as well. So I need to make sure that I have a good working internet for myself. It has been pretty difficult for me to do that because I've been going through a lot of health issues, and until I didn't have the specific uh, doctors that I needed, I needed a good team that can help me uh, set up a good health regimen where I can take care of myself and feel better. And so we are finally dealing with a great group of doctors that are working together and helping me get my quality of life in a better state. And so I have been feeling a lot better lately. And so I'm back into my crafting again. I was off for a little while, trying to get adjusted and everything, but now I am getting a lot better, and I'm very hopeful that everything is going to work out. I'm also trying to get into my working field again. I do accounting. I have worked in doing payroll and accounts payable and receivables in the past. I do not have a CPA. That was my plan, but I never finished it. I wasn't so interested in the law side of it, so I don't really care for that. But yeah, so I might be going back to work again, but I will be working from home from now on. It's a lot easier for me, especially with the health issues that I will be dealing with for the rest of my life. So here's getting a little bit more chunky now because I have all the signatures in there. I have already what, two signatures? So this is the third one that I'm adding. Um, that's where these, you see, I got a bigger one, and I even have a bigger one than that. So uh, it's just, it works out perfectly when you need it. Now I'm trying to take all of those strings and stick them in there so they're not in the way, and they can get inside of the binder clip as well. That way I don't confuse it with the one that I am actually using to bind the next signature. So you see how I hold the journal? That is always closed, almost closed. I don't open it all the way because then it would be very difficult. And again, 3. And it doesn't matter. So if you don't want to waste your thread, in the past, I wouldn't even cut it. I will still leave it in the spool. Maybe one day I will do it that way so you guys can see how I did that. And I wouldn't cut it until I knew exactly how much I was going to use because I didn't want to waste it. But it is so much easier when you cut the the wax thread and you use 3 sizes of it because it's comfortable. You can move it. You can, if you need to move the pages, you can, things like that. And if you still feel like it's not properly done, you don't have to make a knot. You could just close it and do a bow on it in case you want to change something later and you don't waste your thread. I used to do that in the beginning as well. I wanted to make sure that I did it right because once you knot it, then you have to cut it and you waste your thread. But if you just make a bow on it and just leave it like that loose, you can actually add or take away, especially if you're going to be decorating the pages after you sew them in. See, because this is the trick. When I do my journal pages before I bind it into the journal, the cover, I like to decorate it then, because if you have any mistakes or you don't like what you did and you want to change it, usually that happens to me a lot because I could work on a journal today and then I look at it tomorrow and I don't like it, I will change it. So you have a better chance to make any changes that you want without having to have, that feel of, oh, here we go again. Now I have to take it all off. And then you waste thread, paper, time, you name it. It's just frustrating. And you want to enjoy what you do. So you have to do it the way that is best suited for you. And that's how I do it for myself. I like to enjoy what I do. I love doing this. It just is so relaxing to me. I could do this all day. I wish I could do it all day and it could be my job, but unfortunately, I have to go back to work. I can't do that. I have to do this as a side thing for myself. But I love it. I wouldn't change it any other way. So here I have some vintage ledgers in there that I have some of my coffee dye paper, and this middle page that I have is from chapter 1, which I will also have her linked below so you guys can check her digitals in her Etsy shop. That one is a vintage paper. You might hear my dog in the background snoring because she's sleeping right next to me as I'm recording this voiceover. I have some of that Braille paper. And then, of course, the background is all of Ruby and Pearl. How beautiful is that? Love that rose. So that's going to be the next signature right there. So I'm going to have 2 in the front and 2 in the back. So let me see. Is that one in the back? I think it is. And then we'll do it again. And I didn't want to delete or edit part of these signatures and sewing it together because I wanted you to have as many times to see it as needed. So I wanted you to see the 4 times that I did it. You see how this one has in the middle, it has a vellum piece of paper. It's good for you to see binding it and how I bind it every single time, because whatever you didn't see on the first one, you got to see on the second, if not even on the 4th time. So I believe this is the last one. I'm not sure, but I think it's the last one of the signatures that I needed to add. So again, that ruler thing, it is the best. Oh, I don't remember who I learned that from in the videos, because I have seen so many videos of so many crafters. I love them all. That's one thing that I love to do. I love to watch everybody's channel. I encourage them as well. I let them know how I feel about everything that they have shown me, how they have influenced me or inspired me to create. Always positive. I enjoy watching them. I always get a little pointers here and there, and I try it, and whatever works for me is exactly what I keep doing. So this little trick with the ruler, oh, I wish I knew who was it that I saw the first time, because ever since I have always done it. So again, just make sure all of your strings are put away so that they don't get confused with the one that you're using while you're sewing the signature in. So you see I stick it in between, and once I have everything in order, I will start And it gets a little bit harder once it gets thicker. So you have to make sure the signature is close together and that you are in the spine. See, what else can I tell you about this? And believe it or not, this is my favorite part of binding journals. It's definitely my favorite part. It was the first thing that I learned when I started creating journals. When I first saw Johanna Clough show how to create a journal with a tiny little, it was a small one, and I still have it. I have pictures of myself when I was a baby inside of that journal, which is really cute. One day I will show you guys. I still have to finish it. I have a bad tendency of not finishing what I am doing because I want to immediately, when I think of something else, I start working on that and forget that I hadn't finished the other one. Trust me, I have a few journals that I have to send to some of my friends that are still waiting, I don't know, for months now. And I still have yet to finish it because I keep starting a new project and a new project and a new project. I don't know if you guys do that. If you are a crafter, how many projects do you start at once, really? It's like you get inspired by something else and you're like, ooh, I want to do that. And so, yeah, I have a few projects just, not finished because of that, because I stopped just to begin a new one. And that's a really bad habit. But you know what? It's my crafting time. It's what makes me feel good. I enjoy every moment of it. So I'm going to do it. And so whatever I feel like doing today, that's what I end up doing. And right now, I'm so into this flip-flop journal because I found it intriguing. At first, I was like, I don't know what the whole ordeal about this is. And then when I first started doing it, I was like, oh, no wonder. This is fun. But yeah. Okay, so here, this is the one that happened. It went and it punctured the string. So you see how I have to go in there with a needle and take it out because it will not let me close evenly. So there I had to take the needle and take it out of where it was punctured. So I was trying to show you right there. See, it punctured the string. So now I have to make sure that I can take it back out. See that? And put it from one side to the other and make sure that it's even again. And then add it. But I'm glad that that happened so that you guys can see it does happen. But you can fix it as long as you catch it. And this is how you would know, because you see how I tried to even it. If that is punctured, it will not let you do that. So that's one of the tricks that I know myself to make sure that it is. And now I tighten it a little bit more because it's loose. And by the way, that's my real first name, Luz Esther, which means light in Spanish. But my nickname is Lucy, and it's always been, everybody knows me by Lucy. There we go. And it's done. And I believe that is the last one. And now the journal looks so cute and so junky, and it's not even decorated yet. I love it already. This is my favorite part of creating journals. Looking through the pages, have a pocket. We will decorate that bag. That white page we will cover And there's like a little tuck there on that page. Here I created something different. I've never done that before, so we'll see how that works out. You see that one has a little bit of white on the side. We will cover that. This is the vellum, and I love the way it looks because you can see the other page behind it. I love that. Isn't that pretty? It's see-through because it's vellum, but I printed on the vellum. There's a tuck, top loading, and then a bottom one, pocket again, white we will cover. That one is part of the 12 by 12 paper pad, my coffee dye paper. I did a flip out there. And there is chapter 1 and then Ruby and Pearl, the cover of the journal, of the cover, yeah. And there, look how chunky it looks already. Two on this side. Yeah, I have to bring all the strings down to make sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep them. I believe I did cut them off because I changed my mind afterwards. Oh, and by the way, if you do cut them off, don't throw those strings because you can use them anytime. I will show you a trick on that too, on what to do with those so that you're able to use them and you don't have a mess everywhere with them. But I really want to put some beads there. I really did want to, but it's not gonna work unless it's like a long, maybe a long skinny journal and it's only open on one sided, not flip-flop. It would probably be a lot easier for me to add some beads in there. But I think I chose not to do it on this one. So I'm just looking at it. I love it. This is my favorite part, and you can tell because I just keep looking at it. But this is going to be it for now. I'm going to leave you here and I will be adding the next video where we are going to begin covering all of the white pages and start decorating. That's the fun part. So I will see you in the next one. Bye.